Robertson. Good to be with you. Let's see if we can increase our creativity through havening. Creativity is really important. It's being perceived as that much more. Hekin from Virginia University has really got the focus on that because she did some amazing research which has shown that creativity in America and in different places where the Torrance test's been used, so across the world really, UK as well, that creativity is dropping, it's decreasing. She doesn't think that creativity is linked to intelligence as well, which is quite interesting. And this change started to happen around about 1990 to 1998. And so this change she's seeing by analysing, thousands and thousands of Torrance tests that have been done over the years. So creativity, I think often we think about creativity being about making art. I'm an artist and I've worked with incredible artists in my life, and I think we use creativity in all that we do. So when we're working as a havening practitioner, we are using creativity, and it's more than just thinking creative solutions for ourselves. We are having to think of so many creative solutions because they're for other people too. So we really need that behavioural flexibility. It's a great thing to develop. Creativity is also important for making what you eat fun, or your lifestyle fun, how you live, how your house looks, what you wear, your love life, so many things. It's absolutely key, and it's also linked with health. So there's research that shows that if you're mentally healthy, then you're more creative, and that if where there's depression, anxiety and fears, then there's lower creativity. So it absolutely ties into the work that we do. Let's see what we can do. So let's get these neural pathways, let's get driving traffic and activating the brain so we can be creative. We're going to look at the science after doing the workshop. The process is actually, it's an increasing creativity process. It's got 3 simple stages. In this talk, we're also going to look at how we would create a control and what you might do if there was some sort of impediment to creativity. So we're going to see 3 different things, but the actual creativity process that I've developed has 3 simple stages. So you can use this process as many times as you like and for as many subjects as you like. But today we have a shared project. Fee has asked us to create about the subject of the conference, Canvas of Love and Havening. We can create today using our mind, and we can imagine any kind of media output. Could be sound, could be movement, could be visuals, could be words, could be foods. You could make a dish about it, or it could be an amazing cocktail, or it could be a scent. And within each of those, there are so many subsets. So here's our starting point. Let's explore. So this is like the control stage. Make yourself comfortable and think about how many different ways you can express havening in the canvas of love. Notice the first ideas you have and consider their origins. And then move on to making up some new ones. Make as many as you can. And we have 3 minutes to do this. I'm going to pop the timer on. 1 minute to go. How many can you come up with? That's 3 minutes. How many did you come up with? Make a note and pop it in the chat, or make a note and keep for your own reference. Great stuff. What else did you notice when you were doing this? Did you feel that you had enough time, enough resources, enough access to ideas, enough courage, and enough freedom? Or did you experience some kind of blocks to creativity? They're really common. So much of our culture blocks the idea of creativity. And I think makes it just the realm of artists, which I don't think is the case at all. So did you notice any fears of not being good enough or not having enough resources or time or skills? And we might experience sometimes becoming defensive or reclusive or shy or blocked or stuck. It can really put our brain in a kind of spin. We can feel a bit flipped, and we can feel our heart rate beating a bit more, perhaps, or we can experience emotional responses. So, of course, as Haveners, we really know about this. We'd be saying to ourselves, where did that come from? Where was that Emily? Was it like, I remember my art teacher. I did a really realistic picture of a horse, and the art teacher, I'd be five or something. The art teacher didn't put it up on the wall, but put everybody else's sort of cartoon horses up on the wall. I remember being really puzzled by that, because when I was about 5, I used to draw the sky right down to the ground. And, why was that? Why was it wrong, So I havened that, and it was amazingly... it created lots of change. So I did some depotentiation. So here we see a couple of neurons on the synapse, and we see the AMPA receptors. We think of them as doorways, and the traffic is coming across the presynaptic neuron, across the synapse, and through the spaces in the AMPA receptors. Havening has changed things. We've done some event havening, and there's been depotentiation. Look at those AMPA receptors. They've been reabsorbed into the neuronal surface, and now they're being recycled. So very green. There they go. The tissue's being recycled. And shortly, see, the traffic can't get through now. So the traffic's receding because it has not got free passage. It can't go. So, depotentation. What a wonderful process. And we depotentate things all the time, but being able to do it deliberately and be able to target the the amygdala area is really special. So what kind of havening might we use? We might use event havening. So comfortable, so easy to do, and 99% fun, thinking about working memory and so forth. This is working. Yes, it is. Or we might choose outcome havening, where we move from one outcome to a new outcome, nice bright yellow sunny outcome. Or role havening, might start off with that, hot feeling, and then changing to being free to move on. And transpirational, it often comes down with a whoosh, and then there's those hot emotions that we can just transpire away. And sometimes it can be a bit fireworky, but it's a fast way to move through these things, because shortly things start to change and you find yourself maybe feel a bit different about those things. And you realise you're kind of having a bit of an aha moment there. Things are shifting and you're moving towards affirmational. You're affirming. You might be saying something like, I learned something from that, or I'm okay. And again, you have another load of affirmational insights, kind of aha moments there. So, if you find any blocks, as Haveners, you know what to do. If you're new to Havening, find a practitioner and they'll help you. So now we're on the process. So like I said, it's got 3 stages. Let's go. So we're going to be using Havening Touch and Amplify Havening. So if you're new to Havening, your Havening Touch can be a slow, firm contact stroke from the top of your shoulder down to your elbow on the sort of outside of your arm. Lovely and slow, the lovely contact. Or you can do Havening Touch, face Havening, so under your eyes and above your eyebrows, and just finding a touch that suits you. Might be lots of little contacts as you travel, or it might be one smooth contact. You might find that your palms touch your cheeks as well, that's okay. You can also do palm Havening, so you can take palm to palm, nice and slowly, noticing the contact, noticing the feeling. And you can move between all 3 or choose one, it's really up to you. Now access a time that you were creative and really enjoying yourself. I know you might have been cooking or making an outfit, or I don't know, designing the garden, or making some art, or planning how your house is going to look. And notice those details, or working with a client. Notice those details and how you access. Like, do you picture it in your mind, or do you really feel it in your body, or do you kind of make a story in your mind, or do you hear it as dialogue? So notice how you access that memory. So you're activating those neural pathways and you're reconstructing the memory actually. And notice as you activate, notice how you feel now. So you've got 3 minutes to do that, and we've got timer on now. Great. Now let your mind wander and continue Havening Touch. Just sort of rest however you like to rest. Perhaps you like to focus on the little muscles in your face softening, little muscles at the corner of your eyes and of your mouth, and from the top of your head just softening, just allowing your jaw to relax, and your neck and your shoulders, or however you like to relax, and let your mind wander. So as you continue doing the Havening Touch, think of as many different ways that you can express the canvas of love and Havening. So just allowing that flow and just noting them. Later on we'll have time to think about what we could do with them, but now just generate more and more ideas, like sketches, like ideas, just a flow. Lots and lots of them. So you've got 3 minutes. Great, well done. How many did you come up with? Okay, so just continuing with your process. So I've interrupted you there, but just continuing in. Now you could start using maybe some informational havening if you like. Or you could just continue the way that you were working. So now we're creating, considering and consolidating. So think about how you could, how could you bring your ideas into the world? You might just describe them. If you were thinking about a huge engineering project of sort of havening being like a massive bridge or something, you would have to just do sketches of that or a model or a maquette before you could make it real. So just think about how you could do that, different ways of doing it. I came up with an idea just now, and now I'm already beginning that process of thinking, who could I get to help me do this, and how could I do it, or could I just do stick figures? I think I'm going to start with stick figures actually, but then I could get people to take the place of the stick figures. So do this, and then share a photo of your work with Feliciana Tello. So make a note of how many ideas you came up with, a quick note of the ones that you think are, really good, and some of the ones that are really funky, and then continue on with that. And I'm going to carry on with the workshop just now. So it's something that you can do later. Yeah, so that's just a continuation of that one. Okay, so the science. I know you guys really love the science. So the new neuroscience says that creativity is a whole brain activity. That's kind of exciting change, isn't it? So what does that mean? So let's look at the different things that we did and see how I was using that science basis. So when you were thinking, first of all, about how could you express the canvas of love and havening differently, you were drawing on your memory. So, and you're activating those neural pathways and you were reconstructing. So you were using pathways made by long-term potentiation. So that's something that you can look up. When I asked if you could make up some different ones, that you probably experience something that's considered to be stickiness and distraction of prior knowledge, stuckness. So that's the common thing. And in these tests, mostly people come up with very low numbers. Okay, so here's a diagram that we're going to kind of use again and again. So I've done 3 circles, and you see I've just put the text in the first one because in this last case, what you were doing was you were remembering, and memory is not accessing something that's fixed. It's a reconstruction process. The areas of brain that were active are the hippocampus, the medial prefrontal cortex, posterior cingulate cortex, the bilateral inferior parietal lobes, and the medial temporal lobes. And the episodic system was most likely activated. So episodic memory is, experiences where we went somewhere, we met somebody, we ate something, we did something, rather than memory which is about, riding a bike. So it's a different kind of memory. So that's what you were using. And then we moved on, didn't we? We moved on to kind of thinking about what we discovered, talking about what we discovered. So, we looked at if you draw a blank, or if the flow comes to a stop, or if you actually kind of feel a bit of fear. So we were looking at, did you experience amygdala activation? So there we've got a great diagram of the limbic system activated, and of course we know that you could use havening to move forward from that. Then was our first stage of the actual creativity process. So you were using the havening touch then, weren't you? You were thinking about a time that you were creative and you were really enjoying yourself. So what this is doing is this is utilising the priming of the episodic system by remembering a previous experience with as much detail as possible. Research has shown that this activity boosts the number of ideas people generate on a creative thinking task at that time, and that's without them doing the havening touch. So of course there's all the science that Dr. Rudin used to build the havening techniques from. So all that science that you know of the delta wave and everything else. Then you did another process. You allowed your minds to wander freely. And this is also known to help us move from what's known as impasse and then to help us access creative thinking. Okay, so now we've got the circles again. Let's look at them now. There's a bit more going on. So we've got remembering, which is reconstructing, and we've got imagining, which is constructing. So it was most likely that most of you were doing a bit of both of these. And again, this activates the episodic system, and the same areas of the brain are active again for both. Okay, then you went on to creating. So you were using havening touch and you were thinking of as many different ways that you could express. So here we have from Roger E. Beatty, we have the research work that says during idea generation, activation of the hippocampus and the default network increased. This is presumably reflecting engagement of the episodic system. And of course then we have all the science from Ron Rudin for havening. So if you're new to havening, do look up that paper that I cite there. Just pause on the recording, just pause, and you can find that. You can find it on the front page of my website actually, and on the havening.org website. Okay, then we were creating, considering and consolidating, and we were using, you could use havening touch and amplify havening or informational. And so these are great diagrams. So you can see there the cognitive control areas that are active, and you can see the default areas that are active. Quite interesting. And again, looking back at these circles, we've got the default network. Yeah, that's the sort of remembering, where we had the remembering, and the control network And these two systems are considered to co-activate for creating. So that's sort of mind wandering and then evaluating, if you like. So it's a combination of the two. There we go. So remembering, reconstructing, the episodic systems involved, imagining, constructing, and then the combination of these is what they think then, or what they know from using the MRI scanner, the creating mode, if you like, which I think you will have experienced. Again, what happens when you go through the process of starting to take those ideas and to see how you can give them form, how you can you bring them into the world as a drama or as a sculpture or as a, it can be so many different things. I mean, here we have an idea of how many different things it can be. It can be, handprints or a cake. Look at that cake, adventuring, or using your hands, using your body, making a sculpture, dancing, making music, making prints. I love making prints. Or use dancing with a sort of incense stick in a mirror. Or making a graphic, a very powerful graphic. Or making a crazy cocktail, a fun cocktail. Or maybe you saw something once and it gave you that same feeling as you get when you're havening. Or you can make cakes to share with us. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this and you can use the process as many times as you like. I'd love to hear what you discovered, what you noticed. Do get in touch with me. I'm very happy to do it. We've got an art havening group as well, and there's so much to do. So you can use this in your sessions. You could prepare like this before a session so that you're really tuned up and that you've got the whole that whole kind of sequence of things, so you can really get into the flow really easily. So great.